Okay, let's talk vacations. I'm Dane Rose, host and teacher of the Successful Landscaper courses. And I didn't take a vacation, I think, for the first 5 to 10 years of running my company. There's just so much to learn. And even today, after 25 years of experience, about 20% of the work that I do on a yearly basis is stuff that I've never dealt with before. It's just never quite come up. And that's pretty phenomenal. It makes life interesting. But when to take a vacation, are they a good idea, etc.? Well, I started taking a lot of vacations after maybe 15 years when I was settled in. And, maybe 12 to 15 years in, started to take a lot more vacations. And that has proved to be important in mitigating what's known as the 20-year burnout cycle in small businesses. No matter what business you're in, it's very common by the 20-year point of running the same company to be somewhat burned out, a little bit tired, etc. And so a vacation or a quasi-retirement is a great approach. So right now I take roughly 6 months of the year off, and then the time that I work is roughly 4 hours a day. And so 20 hours a week, 6 months of the year. I'm at the 25-year point in my business, and I've trained a crew that knows what they're doing. I do one job full attention until complete. I make a great 6-figure income. I don't really need more than that. And I've decided to start a nonprofit and, enjoy playing with the other time. I also enjoy travel. I really think that taking time off at least once a year is a terrific idea. And one of the most important reasons to do that, and particularly to travel outside a normal environment, is to understand just how big the world is. Because one really can do the exact same thing, think the exact same thing, feel the exact same thing, just repeat what one has done for the rest of one's life. And never understand that there's a million different ways of thinking, feeling, and doing things, which you don't really understand until you put oneself in unfamiliar environments. And I like Thailand because it's the opposite of the United States in many areas. Just a couple of examples. In the United States, it's all about the individual. In Thailand, it's all about the family. In the United States, it's all about new and improved. In Thailand, it's all about tradition. In the United States, it's a very masculine culture. Men and women are incredibly masculine. In Thailand, men and women are significantly more feminine in demeanor, in focus, in style. And so when you get to see the world, spending enough time in another country and another culture, through a completely different set of eyes, it does more than simply help you understand, in this case, what the Thais think or how the Thais view the world. It opens up, the whole bandwidth of imagination to realize there are so many ways of thinking and feeling, and many of them are more intelligent than our habituated thoughts and feelings. So the more I have traveled the world, the more I understand that just about every culture and every country does something better than me and my country. And I can, of course, come and show them what I do well and what my country and culture does well. Or I can open up and learn what they do well and bring it back into my life. And there are pros and cons to every approach, and it sometimes takes time to learn them. So I think taking a minimum of 6 weeks off a year is a really important and big thing. I think it can reset the relationship with the crew and the owner. It can reset our relationship with our body. It can reset the relationship with our thoughts and our habits. And so to just get out and go something completely different and shut everything down for 6 weeks is a terrific, experience. And one of my goals in creating the Landscape Success courses was, there have been dozens and dozens of small and at times major choices in my career that have helped me get to a point where I've maximized what has always been my personal goal. My personal goal in my business was to create more and more and more free time for my discretion to decide what do I want to do with this. Right now, as I say, I've started a nonprofit called Happiness Data, and it's exciting to learn about how to, run and organize and have positive impact in a nonprofit. A couple years from now, who knows what I'll be doing, but I want to have more and more discretionary time and enough income that what I'm doing with my time is not being determined by income. Early on, it was important for me to have freedom to spend time the way I wanted to spend it with whoever I wanted to spend it with, anywhere in the world. And that's what I would call, the ultimate freedom. That being my personal goal, I've made a lot of specific choices that have freed up time. And I didn't know, even after living in New York, Cyprus, England, Scotland, Vancouver, Whidbey Island, and, now the San Francisco Bay Area, I didn't know before I traveled to Asia for the first time or started traveling around the world. I didn't know what that would look like. I didn't know what I would learn. But having spent the last years, maybe 10 years or so doing a lot of that, I would say that what I've learned has been invaluable. It's been so meaningful and enjoyable that I consider it more important than a lot of the things that, I learned in school. So, I created the course in part to map out my journey to creating lots of free time with a six-figure income. Places to go that have been, some of my highlights are the island of Panglao in the Philippines. That's where I dove through my first tropical waterfall. It's some of the nicest scuba diving that I've experienced. That's where I, had private lessons and, and played with sea turtles. And so, that was a nice highlight. The island of Koh Samui in Thailand, one of my favorite experiences, again, of just a completely different culture, of a freedom that I've never experienced anywhere else in the world. Copenhagen, Denmark, an experience of a quality of life and a quality of culture that when I did my interviews with the Danish citizenry struck me as 400% higher than the average quality of life of the average American. And so this was so fascinating to understand how different cultures run their value system, their monetary system, etc. Incredibly interesting. So those are three highlights on my world travels. I'd love to hear some of the places that you've been and what you've learned, what you've taken away and seen other people doing better than what goes on in your culture and how you've maybe touched into that in your life. As an example, I had so much fun motorbiking in Thailand that I bought an electric scooter to run around town when I got home. I had so much fun catamaraning in the Philippines. I bought a little 12-foot sailboat for, running out in the San Francisco Bay. Things like that where I've had new experiences out in the world and tried to bring some of that back.